All through the next week, Rachel walks with her grandfather. Every day it's the same thing. She goes to the Lorne Towers directly from school. He's waiting for her in the lobby. She says hello. He grunts. They go for their walk for about an hour. They may exchange a few awkward remarks about the weather, or they may say nothing at all. At the end of the hour, they're back at the Lorne Towers, and Izzy says, with an offhand shrug, "I suppose you're coming tomorrow?" As if her walking with him is something she wanted, and he has nothing to do with it. Another week passes, filled with the same slow, tedious walks, the same random, pointless remarks about the weather and the traffic. Every day it's Rachel's leg muscles twitching, and Izzy's breath wheezing and whistling, and every evening it's Shirley sitting down with Rachel and asking, "How was he? Is he breathing the same? Did you notice anything different, any change?" Shirley asks these questions if Rachel is the expert, as if she is, and Rachel can't help liking that part of her job. That's the way she's beginning to think of it, as her second, but unpaid, job. Still, every day at some point she's fed up, and she stumps along next to Izzy, frowning and thinking, "I've had it. I need to see Louis today because of this. Yesterday I was supposed to go to Helena's and I couldn't. No, this is it. Today is absolutely the last time I'm doing this." And then they return to Izzy's house. He rings for the elevator and he says to her, "I suppose you're coming tomorrow?" And no matter how hard her thoughts have been, no matter how harsh, the fact that he's asking, that it's her grandfather, that it's Izzy asking something of her, works on her every time like hot water over ice. "So, Grandpa," Rachel says, "I've got a question for you. Do you like having me walk with you?" "I don't mind." That might be taken as a compliment coming from Izzy, but Rachel isn't on a fishing expedition. She's got something else on her mind. She wants to ask why. For going on 2 weeks, he's not only accepted her presence on his walks, but also expects it. It's so un-Izzy-ish. The only days she's excused are Thursdays when she works, and Sundays when the whole family goes to his place. "You used to walk alone." "Mm-hmm." Oh, those mm-hms of his. She'll outlaw them. She'd like to stuff them in a bag and ship them to Siberia. She'd like to tell him, "Grandpa, you sound like an aardvark when you say mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm." "I know you're not afraid of falling again," she says. He gives her a look that should warn her. She goes on, "Because Ma says you said." "Ma says you said," he mimics. Oh. How is it that in an instant Izzy can make her forget everything, her manners, his age, that he's a dying man? "Ma says that you said," she persists, "that you know you're not going to fall again." He takes off his cap, wipes his forehead with a handkerchief. "Only a fool takes anything for granted. I've been called lots of things in my life, but never a fool." Then he doesn't say anything else for the rest of the walk. But Rachel has had her question answered. If not afraid of falling, Izzy at least considers it a real possibility. Which leads to another question. Does that mean he knows something they think he doesn't know? Just how sick he is? Walking with her grandfather gets no easier. It's, to put it plainly, boring. They walk so slowly they see nothing of interest. They talk about nothing of interest. Rachel doesn't want to hear about the weather. She's in the weather. That's good enough for her. She doesn't want to hear about the dirty streets and traffic jams. Her brain is getting jammed. Sometimes, she tells Helena, I feel as if I'm sleepwalking. You know, you could use the time. Use the time? God, Helena, I can't believe you. I can't believe you said that. What am I supposed to do? Crossword puzzles? We're walking. We're outdoors. We're crawling along like two old lizards. You're sputtering, Helena says. They're eating lunch together, and she passes Rachel a napkin. Wipe, she orders, pointing to Rachel's mouth. What I mean is, why not do a sort of project of it? Find things out about your grandfather, sort of like an oral history thing. You're such a blooming Girl Scout, Rachel says, tearing the napkin into pieces. If I didn't like you, I really wouldn't like you. Thank you, my love. Grandpa, do you think about Grandma Eva a lot? I don't know much about her. She's dead. I do know that, she says. Leave the dead in peace. Come on, Grandpa, Rachel cries. Give a little, will you? She's desperate. Why tiptoe around Izzy? You don't get any points from him that way. You don't get anything from him that way. Tell me something, anything. How long were you married? A long time. He pulls up the collar of his jacket. It's cool today, and he's wearing a heavy wool jacket. Married when we were 17, he says. Young, Rachel says. She waits for more. Nothing is forthcoming. They turn a corner. She is getting to know these streets better than the ones in her own neighborhood. You know what? She says. I bet you have all the things you could. I bet you have a lot of things you could tell me. An unashamed appeal to his vanity. What things? Oh, she says, all about your life, Grandpa. Tell me where you lived when you were growing up. Right here, Oak Street. I didn't know that. She shouldn't have said it. Now, he will say, now you know. Now you know, he says. What was Ma like when she was a little girl? How about Uncle Leonard? Oops, that's it. She's just slipped on the banana peel. She shouldn't have mentioned Uncle Leonard. Izzy's lips thin. What is this? 20 questions. They cross the street, walk down a little sloping hill past a playing field. A soccer game is in progress, and a crowd is yelling in English and Italian. You want to stop and watch the game? She says. He doesn't. They proceed on. He says nothing else. So much for the oral history project. Thursday after school and before she goes to work, Louis and Rachel stop in at Poppy's, a diner on Canal Street. Poppy's a friend of Louise, Louis says. Who's Louise? My older sister. That's the first time you've mentioned her. There are lots of things I don't know about you either. Well, I know one thing about you, she says in a happy voice, thinking about his kisses. Oh? He must be thinking about the same thing, because he smiles and blushes. Yeah, Louise is married. She lives in Rochester. She teaches, and she has 2 babies. So you're an uncle? Did you know I'm an aunt? My God, we're 2 old farts. They walk up the steps into the diner. A young woman with short hair is behind the counter, chopping onions. Hey, Louis. She's wearing a blouse. A blouse, a dark cardigan, and jeans. Poppy. Louis leans on the counter. This is my friend Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Hello. She looks around. I like this place. Thanks, I do too, Poppy says. Besides the usual menus on the walls above the counters, there are also kids' drawings and taped up cartoons. The whole place is very small, half a dozen booths, maybe maybe 10 stools at the counter. You guys going to sit down and eat or what? Eat, Louis says. Definitely eat. In the booth, they sit next to each other, their shoulders touch, eating and talking. The talk gets around to Izzy. I read that people who are dying sometimes know it, Louis says, even if nobody's told them in so many words. The idea is that somehow their body is telling them, giving them signals. I wonder if my grandpa knows. He probably knows more than you think. Maybe he even knows more than he knows he thinks. I think you're right, she says. Rachel. Is this Rachel? Wait, hold on, I forgot my voice for... Rachel, is this Rachel? It's Alice Farnum. Am I calling too late? No, that's fine. I just got home from work. I was just talking about you to Grandpa Izzy the other day. I think about your grandfather a lot. How's your grandfather getting on? I talked to him once right after that day. But I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ask him too much. I didn't want to upset him. And I wasn't sure. Well, let me tell you the reason I'm calling you. Last night I had a dream I just had to tell you about. Yes, Rachel says, as if people always call her to tell her about their dreams. I was dancing. There was a wooden rail around a glassy area, and I was just dancing on the ground. Your grandfather was there, sitting on the railing. At first, I was so happy. Then a sadness came over me. I looked over. Your grandfather was gone, but you were there. I knew I shouldn't be happy to see you. And I was happy to see you, but there was something very sad. I woke up feeling sad, and I thought, I must call Rachel. I think the dream was trying to tell me something. Do you think so, Rachel? Well, yes. What is it? What is it about your grandfather? You know why he fell down or no? Yes, it's kind of serious. I was afraid of that. I'm so sorry.